I'm now joined by a very special guest, Mr. Obadele Thompson, the man who won Barbados' first Olympic medal at the Sydney Olympic Games 2000, and it was a bronze. Oba, you're here taking in some of the action, BSSAC 2019. Talk to us a little bit.
Yeah, it's been about 10 years since I've been here to the meet, so it's good to finally come out here and see the amount of talent that we have. It is a constant reminder that Barbados, we have the athletes. It's just a matter of them getting in the right system and the right support to be able to perform well regionally and internationally. And so I come out here and I see the athletes running, and it's a reminder of when I was here 20-something years ago. Seems like ages and ages ago, but you know, the energy is still very high, and seeing some impressive performances so far.
Based on your observations, what would you say needs to be done about the sport? Tell us.
As I was just saying, I think the biggest thing is identifying talent and making sure that we give them the best opportunities to perform. So that includes coaching. It also includes physiotherapy to ensure that people, when they're injured, they're able to recover from injuries properly, and also that we're preventing injuries, and also the facilities. And I know there are big financial components to being able to have the best facilities possible, but facilities play a huge part in being able to get optimal performances, and I think those are some of the big areas that we really need to focus in on.
And we have a lot of athletes getting athletic scholarships. How important are the scholarships?
I think scholarships are very important for multiple reasons. Of course, for the educational purposes, which beyond sports, it allows people hopefully to get a degree that will help them later on in life when they're finished sports. But in terms of our sports development, because we often don't have the type of competition and facilities available that athletes, when they go away on scholarship, have, I think it's important that they get used to training at a higher level, used to competing constantly at a higher level. And so, for example, I know for a while people were looking at the Jamaican model, where many of the Jamaican athletes were staying at home. But if you look at their numbers, their population is 5 times our size. They have better facilities, a longer history. And so they're able at times to compete within Jamaica and still get the best out of themselves. Here in Barbados, we might have an athlete or two that is far beyond everyone else. And I left when I was 17 years old because at that stage I needed more. And I think it's great that many more of our athletes are going to get exposure to competing and training at higher levels.
And in terms of, you mentioned Jamaica, what would you then say would you think is their secret recipe?
I think they have athletics for them is life. It's not for us, you know. For many, when I was growing up, it was cricket. So I think when you look back and you see where talented people with coaching, with facilities, with a lot of energy put behind it, you can get results. Athletics and many of the other sports, traditionally we have not done that. I think if we were to do that, because genetically, you know, many of us came over, you know, on the slave ships, and genetically there's more harmony among the islands. And I don't think it's ever an issue of genetics. It's a matter of the focus and the energy of whether this is something that we want to do. And I think if this is something that we can be, I won't say as good in the short term, but in the long term, we definitely could produce more medalists. But to your point, I think it's their whole system. They look at developing through athletics as being their identity.
What would you say to some of our athletes competing today and that will go on to the Carifta Games, that they probably would say, you know, one day I would like to be like Obadele Thompson, one day I would like to win an Olympic gold medal? What is your advice to them?
The biggest advice that I will have is that it's a process. It takes a long time. There are a lot of bumpy roads that you have to go on, a lot of unexpected things that happen, injuries, disappointing performances, and you have to learn to be resilient through that. I also think it's very important that you have a lifestyle that supports your success. You have to be conscious of the people that you hang around, the environments that you put yourself in, the things that you focus on, the things that you feed your mind, in addition to feeding your body. I also think it's important that you, as I say, become a nerd of what you do. If you want to be one of the best in the world, you have to know who the best are, why they became the best, and find people to emulate. Unfortunately, a lot of people are looking for quick success. They aren't interested in studying They're interested in more social media, getting likes. Well, likes is cool, but likes is not necessarily a reflection of how you're doing in terms of your development in your particular sport. So I think when you start to focus on those type of things, then that creates the basis for your success.
We have a lot of athletes going back to the overseas in college right now, competing. Tell me about the process now prior to an Olympic year.
It depends. It depends on if you're at university, or if you are outside of university. In university, if you're competing for a college or university, then you'll have your full season. And if your coach is thinking of your development after the collegiate season finishes, which is usually in May of the year, and the Olympics tend to be in August, September of a year, then you would probably have a period of time where you compete at your nationals, and then you have to go back to rebuilding, to as it were, building a base for yourself to get ready for another big push at the end of the year. As a professional, I think you are looking and thinking about, for example, now, 2019, and you're thinking of 2020, you're thinking about the meets this year that you want to do to perform well. So athletes are looking to see how far they can get in things like Pan Am Games. There's a World Championships in athletics for various sports. They have World Championships, regional meets. I think that's the big push. And as the Olympic year comes along, you're looking to take your training to a higher level, greater intensity, greater focus on developing your craft and trying to get into competitions where you're pushed and challenged a lot more, which is a big component of being able to perform well at the big stage, is that you have to find yourself under those high pressure competitive situations as much as possible. So those are the kind of things that you look at as preparing coming into an Olympic year or the years before it.
Just before you go over, how do you feel about Harrison College renaming their field?
Of course, it's a huge honor. I remember the first day that I went to school there, and to imagine that years later, actually almost 30 years later, that they'll be doing this for me, naming it after me, I feel very honored. I know we've had several other great athletes before me, after me, and hopefully this will be an inspiration to the next generation. I don't know if it comes out of naming tennis courts or the netball court or basketball court, but I think it's also good that as a culture we recognize our own and to start recognizing the contribution of those people who are among us and name things after them, and whether or not it's a facility or a prize or whatever, is to acknowledge our own, to recognize their achievements, their contribution to the development of sports, entertainment, whatever it is, and to inspire the next generation.
Thanks a lot, Oba, and congrats.
Thank you.
Breakfast. With a bottle of Ensure, you get 9 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, and the calcium that your body needs. For the hectic moments of your life, drink Ensure.